Good afternoon all. Welcome. And I guess you heard the word welcome more than once here. So Joris and myself, my name is Hugo Houben. I'm project director at Fluor. Joris Blom, my colleague, engineering manager at Fluor. For those who might not know Fluor is a engineering company, so-called EPC company, founded in more than a century ago, 1912. We're a global company. We execute over 1,000 projects a year, and the projects are all kind of diverse projects, from oil and gas, energy transition, green hydrogen, infra, mining metals, all around the spectrum of industrial facilities. So that's what we do. We have a backlog of, if I'm not mistaken, 15 billion revenue a year. So we are a large player in the market. We would like to tell you today a story about what we do. We execute projects. So before we get going, I would like to take you along with some safety topic. For us, safety is our core value. It's in our DNA, and we would like to share that message always with everybody because it's so important. We cannot afford as a company to execute any project with a safety issue, because then we will be out of business. So again, that's absolutely core value. You've seen here around the summit most likely a number of the safety issues. Here is a number of them listed. But what you do see is that all of these topics come back when we execute, when we design projects. We all need to do it, and I have once in a while, I have this presentation for students for starting off with age of 10, 11, for example, my daughters, but also other students, explaining that the smallest thing can have a very large impact, especially with safety. If there is an incident anywhere, you go to your root cause, and most of the times it is something small which we have overlooked altogether. Could be us, could be anybody. So that is the core message, and this you can see a listing of elements popping up in the green hydrogen projects. So the topic of today is new technology in a lean execution model. What you do see here is you see a number of terminologies which I've seen also in the summit. The digital twin, wonderful. We have lean execution models, wonderful. Obeya rooms, wonderful. Design once, build many. Especially for green hydrogen, it's a concept which is being promoted over and over. Why? Because green energy, building green hydrogen on industrial scale is certain components which we repeat. So the thing now is that how do you execute that, and what does it take to execute it? So what we do see, we call it a new business, and in the business we have seen in the past that we work with larger companies, you name it, like the Shells, like the BASFs, like the large facilities, who has a big scale of procedures, practices, how they want to execute. You do see one owner, you do see companies with the financial capabilities to push project forwards. Now we move into a new business model where we do see smaller companies, we do see startups, we do see scale-ups, which bringing in experienced people from EPC companies or from larger operating companies. So we have a large spectrum of that, but in the end, it all comes down to the thing that we need to build the facilities. So you hear a lot of stories on this summit about the financing. Extremely important, because we need to help pushing projects towards the final investment decisions. To do that, financiers, I'm not sure if there are financiers in the audience, they want to have certainty. They want to have return on investment, they want to have certainty, but also certainty of execution. They want to have certainty of permitting. They want to have then also certainty of off-takers. All those things come into play most of the times, especially with the green hydrogen, during the execution of the projects. So the thing is then how to deal with that during the execution. So here again, you see a lot of players on this slide. The message here is, if you want to build it, the project execution is, we call it an art, but that's because we like what we do. But project execution is an art. You cannot buy a few components and then expect components will work together. The different companies coming together. We do see a lot of companies coming from the wind turbines, solar. We come from the power industry, where is the mindset that you buy components and it works together. That is partly true, but partly not true. What we bring as an EPC company, we bring something in the middle. You see here piece of the puzzle. We see ourselves as a piece of the puzzle who can bring you peace of mind. We see a lot of issues popping up where we are there to solve. For those who have worked with EPC companies, we're always there to take the blame, and we get the blame quite often. We are trained to take the blame, so we do that with a smile. But that's why we're here for, and try to get peace of mind. In Dutch, we call it ontzorgen. We try to help you. Now, this is here, you do see the two components. You have an integrator and an integrator. So if you put an integrator, you can see an integrator as an EPC company at the center. We bring all the different elements together. Whether it will be technology, whether it will be, we are involved in discussion with your financiers, we are involved with permitting. We will talk a little bit later about the technical topics related to that. We are very much involved with all the suppliers, technology providers, vendors, authorities, and so on and so forth. Because in the end, come back to the earlier statement, building in a facility on industrial scale, you need to bring it together. Because in the end, whether you're a power company, whether you're a big oil and gas company, whether you're a scale up, you all need to go to the funnel that you get your financing in check, you need to get your permitting in place, and then you need to build it. So all that stuff, the logistics, the construction, it all needs to come together. With that is where we see the integrator as central part, where you do see on the other end the OEM direct, is that it is more back and forth. It's more a bilateral piece of work you do. So you get something, you give it back, where an integrator is more at the center. Being at the center also means you need to go to a very collaborative environment. It has two reasons. First of all, we build a project for the sake of a project. We do not build a project for ourselves. We do it to build a project for our clients. That's what we want to achieve. If we do not do so, then we build it for whom? So you need to do it together. That's one element. The other element is the market. The engineering market is becoming less and less. You do see the resources become more and more scarce. We just need to do it together. Because if you don't do it together, it will not work. With that, I will give the word to Joris, who will pick it up from a more technical point of view.
Yeah, thanks, Hugo. Great speech from my side. Hello, everybody. My name is indeed Joris. I'm an engineering manager at Fluor. I take care of a lot of technical stuff. I want to take you through some of the things that we find as EPC contractor that are typical for a hydrogen project. The way many hydrogen projects are started is either one of these three and then the integrator one. So the first one you'll see, some clients just want to combine OEM packages. They procure them on the market and they work as integrated themselves. So they procure the packages and all the questions, all the interfaces go through the vendor, through the owner themselves. Some of them change the philosophy. You'll see that in green. They have an OEM, they supply the packages, but they also have a balance of plant contractor to supply utilities from the outside and to connect it up to tie-ins. And sometimes they also make the balance of plant contractor responsible for permitting stuff. And the last one, there's an OEM integrator. Some OEMs are able to provide more service than just provide their vendor package. And they can integrate some of the other vendors' packages or between themselves all the packages. And then they add a balance of plant contractor to it. But then still, for each of these methods of execution, the owner in themselves remains in the middle of the organization to align all the interfaces between the OEMs, the balance of plant contractor, and themselves, so the potential site they're working on. And that is typically a place where an EPC contractor like Fluor is very easy in. We are used to work like that. And if you're in that playing field as an owner, you'll get a lot of questions and a lot of things you'll need to work on from the OEMs and from the contractors you have to manage. And that's all your responsibility then. So you'll have a technology push you have to manage. OEMs will continuously improve their technology. So you want to buy new equipment. Potentially it's very difficult to get new equipment because there's a shortage on the market. A lot of projects are requesting information from vendors. They are not as easily answered all the time. Lead times are high. Your permitting procedure is very difficult. You have a problem with potentially nitrogen deposition. And then there's all the other emissions that you as a plant may need to consider, like heat dissipation, noise, and the intake of feed water, for example. Those are all things you need to align on a project, which are way broader than just buying OEM packages. So that's where we can support very well. And I think for us, critical to hydrogen projects and not industry projects in general are these topics. So very important for a site is to guarantee the feedstock provision, so your e-power and your water, feed water of a good enough quality to not harm your electrolyzers is a key topic for hydrogen plants. Managing of subcontractors. It's not a task that owners do very often, so sometimes it's better off with an EPC contractor. The interface with authorities and investors is typically something that an owner does, but requires a lot of support. You need your engineering drawings, you need your calculations of emissions, wastewater stuff. Those are all things that we can support very well with. Then there's the OEM selection, because we work on a multiple of projects with a lot of owners. We know a lot of OEMs, we can talk to them, we know the differences between the technologies they have. So that's an important topic we can address. The knowledge for power provision, so how stable is your power and how does that impact your electrolyzers? Because we know that market, it's also easier for us to understand what the impact is of a potential shift from wind power to solar power, for example. Then we have a very broad procurement department in our business, so we know a lot of how to globally source materials, what vendors are suitable for particular pieces of equipment, because we're not just procuring electrolyzers for hydrogen, we also need switchgear, for example, or cables, and those are very broad and normal stuff that EPC contractors buy very often. And then there's the balance of plant design. That's the last thing I mentioned, but it's very important. It's often kind of neglected in the beginning of a hydrogen project, but it's not part of the core process of your unit. But it is very important. Without it, you will not have a functioning plant, which is in the end what you need, right? Okay. So how do we do this? We feel that for the hydrogen market, it is very important to keep an open mind, because it is a moving and very energetic market where a lot of stuff is happening. So we want to stay very agile in our engineering and keep evolving our basis of design for the owner as well after concept selection. Many times the business case is still under development whilst we're doing engineering, so we cannot freeze our engineering right at the beginning of a basic design, for example. We need to keep an open mind until the end. And we cannot, as an engineering company or as an engineering manager in my case, just say no to all the value engineering ideas or other ideas that our client has. So we want to continue an open mind for that. That's what we call agility for us. We do that for all our clients nowadays, but it's especially important in hydrogen. Okay, then I have some key takeaways. So we do this. Also, Fluor, we have an ambition to change the world. We do this together. Everybody here in this hall is here because they want to change the world for future generations. But we do feel it's necessary to organize it as a project in a structured manner, so you can actually get your projects toward an execution phase. Then we always try to keep the design very simple to reduce the total installed cost. We always make sure the balance of plant is considered as well as the OEMs. It's just as important. We put safety very high on the agenda. It's an integrated safety approach. We need not just the OEMs that are safe, but the overall plan needs to be safe. We want to stay agile to give our clients the opportunity to optimize their business case. We also understand all our clients are different. We cannot copy a plant and put it in another location. We know client satisfaction is different from client to client or from site to site. And we always try to remember that most parties are very well willing. They are here to change the world. So we want to have a collaborative, open and communicative culture in order to make all these projects a success. Thanks, yeah. I'm minus 11 seconds now, so no time for questions.
Yeah, that's counting up. So, so thank you very much for your attention. If there are any questions, we're around, and feel free to ask anything.
Yeah.
So thanks for your attention.
Thanks.